Sabadi, we're just a few days away from National Poetry Month in the United States, which will turn 30 this year, and in July, America will turn 250 years old. If you go over to the Academy of American Poets website, you can get the official poster, which features some lines from the U.S. Poet Laureate Arthur Z. Anyway, as an interesting point of trivia, the only U.S. president who ever published a book of poetry seems to be Jimmy Carter, but many of our presidents were staunch defenders of verse. April was selected for National Poetry Month in part by a line from the American poet T.S. Eliot, who remarked, "April is the cruelest month," in his poem The Wasteland, which turns 104 this year. Some of you may not realize that the Emma Lazarus poem, The New Colossus, is turning 143 years old, but wasn't installed as a plaque inside the Statue of Liberty until 1903, 20 years later after those famed words, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free," were published. She had published this poem 107 years after the Declaration of Independence, and she died 4 years later at the age of 38. This was the same year as the formation of French Indochina being created in Southeast Asia, and the very first Groundhog's Day had been observed, so I guess we can look at the strange poetry of all of that. This year, the poet James Madison Bell was born in northern Ohio, and he would later earn the title of the Bard of Maumee. Also, Allen Ginsberg will turn 100 years old, as well as the Minnesota poet Robert Bly. As a point of interest, you may also be interested to know that the 1926 Pulitzer Prize for Poetry went to Amy Lowell for her poem, "What O'Clock?" Now, all this and a cup of coffee gets you a cup of coffee, but here we are. And of course, if I'm noted elsewhere, the science fiction poetry community is noting that H.P. Lovecraft's Call of Cthulhu story turns 100, but it wasn't published until 1928. But it does contain that bit of verse, "That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange eons even death may die." Of course, your mileage may vary considerably on that one, as is your right. But there's a lot happening this month, and so tell me in the comments below how you're thinking about celebrating. Talk to you later.